PSEA for having me here today. And I'll tell you what, it is really exciting to be with this group, because this year I've been speaking with some college students and parents and even some politicians, but today I can say that everybody in the room truly knows what teaching is all about. And I know there's a lot of things that we have that are similar. One of them are that we love conferences for one reason: we can go pee whenever we want. And you know, there are two things that probably all of us hate in the room, and it doesn't matter if you teach kindergarten or if you teach 12th grade, we all hate new haircuts and big zits, because students are going to notice these things all day long. And now I know some of you maybe don't get time to go out to the movies all the time, but there is one movie in here that we have all seen, the Academy Award-winning video, How to Issue a PSSA. Lots of great actors in that. My favorite was the actress who played the teacher whenever there was a kid in the room that had a question during PSSA time, and he went up to her and he said, "I have a question." She says, "No, I cannot help you on this test." And then she ran back to her desk. Exactly what we need to be doing. But in all honesty, I'm really glad that I had the time to sit down and watch that video for an hour, because up until this year, I had been using the think, pair, share method with my students during the test, and I found out we're not supposed to do that. Whoops. I have to say I'm kidding, because if not, I feel like the PSSA Popo will be at my school Monday, so I am kidding. But you know what? We all became teachers not because we were there to raise the standardized test scores for our students, but we all wanted to play a role in making the world a better place. And although our profession requires tons of energy and a lot of time, if I was 18 again and I had to pick a career to go into, I'd pick teaching. But last month, there was an editorial written by a high school teacher that was printed in the Huffington Post. It was entitled, "A Warning to Young People, Don't Become a Teacher." It stated that classroom teachers are more stressed and less valued than at any previous time in history. It went on to say teachers have a long list of politicians who belittle their ability, blame them for every student whose grades do not reach some arbitrary standard, and want to take away every fringe benefit they have, everything from the possibility of achieving tenure to receiving a decent pension. At times I feel like there's a witch hunt going out looking for bad teachers within our school, and new efforts are always being made to demand higher teacher accountability. But here's the real secret. Bad teachers don't hide. Ask the students in the school, ask the other teachers, ask the principal, the parents. We know who those bad teachers are. But here's the problem. You know who does hide? The good teachers. It's not intentional, but we don't read enough articles, watch enough news stories, or hear enough praise for superstar teachers who go above and beyond for our children daily, despite the lack of recognition or compensation that they deserve. So let me take a minute to say thank you. Thank you for lugging home those giant tote bags from school to home every night. Thank you for giving up your Friday night to chaperone the school dance, to attend sporting events, to watch the school musical, band concert, or talent show. Thank you for supplementing your students' education with money from your own pocket. And thank you for being that person who, for some children, is the only person that believes in them. Thank you for coaching, counseling, calling, coordinating, communicating, conferring, compiling, collecting, contributing, cooperating, constructing, changing, carrying, conducting, calculating, conferencing, and even coaxing our kids to dream a little bigger, to work a little harder, and have fun in the process. You probably didn't think it could be done, but it has been. Someone defined teaching in 5 words. Yeah, right. How can you explain our whole career in 5 words? But here it is. Teachers. Selflessly dedicated to others' success. What we do in 5 words. Well, maybe some of you have heard of him, but there's this author named Dr. Seuss that wrote a book called The Lorax, and I wanted to share with you a short passage from there today. "And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was a long, long time ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And if the Lorax were a teacher today, he'd say, "Oh my heavens, there's work on the way. Our students need us, and need us to say, believe in your greatness, make the most of today. The stakes may be high, that's far from a lie, but remember, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Unless, if we strive daily to be the best that we can be, and take caution with labels like proficient and advanced, and make sure that each child always has a chance. Stride into school we must do every day, and speak up for our children who don't have a say." I love my job. I'm sure all of you do too, and we could share lots of these Susan Boyle moments that we have in our classroom where our students exceed even our own expectations and we're like dropping our jaw. Wow, this is great. This is why I do teaching. And this year, as I've been traveling the state, I have been meeting amazing educators that have the greatest stories, that are so dedicated to what they do, and they're just so passionate, and it's been a really neat thing. And even though we all have those 1 or 2 days where we think, oh my gosh, what else can I do with a teaching degree? You know, there's that 1 or 2 days, but I have found that people have just been so passionate, and it's been really inspiring. But you know what? I think one of the most difficult things with education is things are constantly changing. But luckily, when I was in 3rd grade, Santa brought me something that will tell me the future of education. My magic 8-ball. So there were a couple questions that I thought would be really beneficial for all of us to find out the answer to today. So I'll give it to you. Will the SAS portal be here in 10 years? Signs point to yes. Will all of my students pass the Keystone exams next year? Shit, let's try again. Will our next governor have all white hair? Ask again later. Not likely. It seems like there are a lot of politicians that are trying to reform education right now. But my biggest frustration is their inability to recognize that not all schools are failing. Excellent teachers make excellent schools, and more legislation isn't going to produce excellent teachers. They're already out there. They just need supported. We all have students with various abilities, and different abilities and interests and different aspirations, but this is my goal for all of our students here in Pennsylvania. I want our students to become as curious as Albert Einstein, as determined as Michael Jordan, as imaginative as Walt Disney, as articulate as Martin Luther King Jr., as innovative as Steve Jobs, as clever as Benjamin Franklin, as brave as Rosa Parks, as kind as Mr. Rogers, as wholehearted as Mother Teresa. And this isn't going to happen unless if we teach from the heart, commit ourselves to excellence, recognize intellectual diversity, keep fighting for our kids, and show others how incredible, how rewarding, and how truly awesome this profession is. I want to leave you today with a quote from someone who is pretty familiar to this area. I watched him growing up, and he cared an awful lot about kids as well. And he says a lot about education. So I'd like to leave you today with 2 quotes from our buddy, Fred Rogers, who also liked to occasionally rock out the red sweater, which my grandma found online at Land's End if you like it. The best part was the reviews. When he read the reviews, I bought this for my 90-year-old grandpa, and he loved it. Put it on as soon as we got it. But anyway, 2 quotes I'd like to end with today from Mr. Rogers. Here's the first one. I hope you're proud of yourself for the times you've said yes, when all it meant was extra work and was seemingly helpful only to someone else. And one of my favorite quotes of all times. If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of others and those that you meet, how how important you are to the people you may never even dream of, there is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person. Enjoy your last few days of school or your last couple weeks, and thank you for doing what you do every day. Thank you.